What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace the radio if you have a 2003 to 2007 Honda Accord. This is all the tools that we're going to be needing. They're all just pretty common hand tools. If you have a drill, it doesn't have to be snap-on obviously, but if you got a long drill bit, a pick, ratchet, pry tool, this is all stuff you can get at Harbor Freight. Even these lights, something like this, all of these are snap-on. I got the radio. This is the screen. And this is the bracket. It comes with a new bracket, all the hardware, cables, everything. First, you get your pry tool. Go ahead and stick it right underneath this bezel where the radio meets the vent. And you want to kind of just wiggle it back and forth, prying upwards. You don't want to try and pry or use the radio as a like point of leverage if you want to reuse it or sell it, whatever you want. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so once you guys get this off, you want to take your pry tool and run along the sides right here. You don't want to just yank on this because this thing, if it's old enough, it's been in the sun, it can crack. I've seen them crack right in half, and it's not good. So just keep going around the edge, around this edge, and then it should just pop right off just like that. So once this is removed, we have 3 screws, one right here, here, and then over here. And this is why I like using a drill. I mean, you can use a screwdriver, it works just as fine, but I got this long drill bit to take that right out, so I'm not having to, fight with it. It's also a good idea to have one of these magnetic trays. You put all the screws in. You can put them in here or the cup holder. I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to be taking this stuff out anyway. And you do not want to be losing these screws. This thing will definitely rattle when you're driving, and it's just going to be super annoying. All right, so next we're going to be taking out this plastic trim around the shifter. So when I'm done with the radio, I'm going to leave the trim off. Pretty much deep clean this interior of this car because I'm giving it back to my dad. This is my dad's car. I just been driving it, doing all the work on it. So I'm going to deep clean all this. I'm going to just leave this off so I don't have to take it off again. And then I'll take the seats out. I'll make a video on that too. I'll take the seats out, deep clean this whole car. All right, and next you want to take out this little tray right here. It sits right in here. You can just get like a pick, something small, maybe a flathead right under here, and just pry it upwards, take it out. And then we have 2 screws, one right there, and then one right over here that we have to take out. Once you get those 2 screws out, you got another one right here, another one right here, and this whole piece right here should just pull right out. One thing I forgot to mention are these tabs right here. They fit in these little slots, so it helps to get your pry tool and just push against them and then pull at the same time, and this all comes out because you don't want to just yank it out. You'll break something. And then once this is out, you go ahead and disconnect the 12 volt, the cigarette lighter or the outlet, whatever you want to call it. All right, so now that's out of the way, we have another screw right here, and then here, and then this whole piece should be able to come out. So when you're taking this piece out, it helps to close the lid, so you can just wiggle it out, because if this thing's open, it's hitting the bottom of this, and it won't come out. So just close it, and you should just wiggle it back and forth, and it should come out just like that. All right, now that that's out of the way, we have 2 8mm bolts, one right there, and the other one right there that's holding the whole radio in. They are Phillips bolts, so they have a Phillips head in the middle of them. I don't recommend you do that because these are so old. I've stripped them out before, so just get an 8mm socket if you have it, or a nut driver that works too. But yeah, let's go ahead and get those out. A good thing that helps when you're taking out those bolts, so you don't want to drop them and having magnetic sockets. I think Harbor Freight might have some. These are snap-on, but I want to say Harbor Freight should have something like this. Maybe Icon, I don't know. But or you can just use a magnet, like a little stick like that. Those work just as good. But this is just a good little thing to have, for a little bit of extra protection. Because if you drop something down here, you lose it, then I don't know what to tell you, man. All right, so once you get those loose, this radio is good to move. So it might be kind of stuck. So what you do is just give it a good yank on the bottom, like so. And you want to make sure to smash your fingers while you're doing it. Give it a good yank like that, and it comes right out. Now you just have your connector here, and then there's one here, and then I believe, yeah, this little skinny black one, that's for the antenna for the radio. So to get these off, you have these little tabs. You can get pliers or something. You see how they're spread out. You can squeeze those and have like a screwdriver or something pulling or prying on this side, and it pops right out. Same thing for that one over there, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Finally out with this old, outdated, clunky, freaking heavy radio. The connectors, they're a little hard to get out because it's so old, like they didn't want to budge. But you can just get a pick, pry tool, screwdriver, and just gently, wedge it between there and pull them out. So out with this old thing, and then finally in with the new radio. Okay, finally we got this thing put together. There's so many cables, but got the screws in. It's those four, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this radio has the option for a backup cam. I'm not gonna be using that. I don't really need it. So a lot of this is like wires for the backup cam. It's just kind of unnecessary, but if you want to put it in, you can. But just warning, the instructions, they're terrible. Got it plugged in finally. The thing was a bit of a nightmare to get it all plugged in and routed. So I'm gonna put the battery back in and see if this thing even turns on. Let's see. I'm gonna leave this. Oh, look at that. This thing actually works. Look at that. So one last thing before I hook it back up, get it all tightened down. It came with a GPS. So I don't know if this thing will actually work, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put it in anyways, and I'll show you guys where it is. This thing's not bolted in, it's just real loose, so I'll show you guys where that's at. Okay, so the GPS, it connects right here. You just put this thing on, you screw it down, and then I'm routing mine through the vent, kind of like right behind it, and I'm gonna stick it right up in here. And I'm gonna get some electrical tape. Probably just wrap this little metal piece right here, because this thing is definitely gonna rub and I don't want it to cut it, damage the wires or nothing. And then I'm gonna get some electrical tape for this, because this is a mess and I do not like how that looks. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I got some electrical tape here on the connectors and some up here, so this wire isn't gonna cut in half. And yeah, so it's not the best looking job, but it's just to keep the cables together, and there's still a little bit of wiggle room for them to move around a little bit. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing put back in. All right, look how good this thing actually looks. I'm kind of surprised. This thing looks pretty good. I'm leaving this little protective film on it, and I'm leaving all this undone because, like I said, I'm making a video on deep cleaning this whole interior. I'm taking all the seats out. Probably gonna try to take out the center console, because this is pretty gross. But yeah, I mean, this thing works perfectly fine. And I just realized, like, I don't really need the GPS because it's got Apple CarPlay. I could just use maps right there, but it's in. I'll just leave it in, whatever. The hardest part about this whole job, honestly, was just figuring out what cables go where, why there's so many cables. I put them all back in the box, and because the instructions, they don't really say what goes where. They just, I don't know. It's a Chinese product. Like, what would you expect? Anyway, guys, I'll put this back on, and then yeah, like I said, it's gonna be weird, like, not putting this together because I'm gonna be cleaning it, but that'll be in the next video, deep cleaning the interior of this car. But thank you guys for watching. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want the specific radio, and I'll talk to you all later.